You ever felt watched, even when you know there ain't nobody around? Like a chill that ain't from the wind, just something else? That's how it starts, most times, especially around Point Pleasant back in '66. Not too far from here, really. Just a bit down the river, where the Kanawha meets the Ohio. Folks there, they had a year when the sky wasn't just sky, and the shadows held something more than just the end of the day. My Granny May, she wasn't from Point Pleasant directly, but her sister's husband's kin lived over there, and when those stories started trickling back up into our holler, well, Granny May, she just got quiet. Plumb quiet. Said it wasn't something you talked about light. Said some things you just knew were bad. And what happened there was bad. Real bad. See, Point Pleasant back then, it wasn't much different from any other river town in these parts. Hard-working folks, mostly. Farmers, coal miners, some at the factories. Life was simple, but not easy. The air always smelled like the river, damp and earthy, mixed with a hint of something industrial from the old TNT plant just outside town. That plant, it was a relic from the war, mostly abandoned then. Big, dark, full of concrete bunkers and tunnels. Kids would dare each other to go near it, but most folks knew better. It had a queer feel to it, even in the daytime, like someone was just waiting in the quiet. But for the most part, folks got by. They went to church, they went to work, they raised their families, they believed in God, and they believed in each other. And they believed in the land too, knew it could give, and it could take, but nobody was ready for what it was fixing to take that winter. My great-uncle Silas, he drove a truck for the county, hauling timber. He'd pass through Point Pleasant aplenty. Said come fall, the air would get sharp, smell of wood smoke and wet leaves. He remembered Novembers when the skies were clear and cold and the stars just burned like diamonds, from can see to can't see. And he remembered the Silver Bridge, that big, shiny bridge stretching over the Ohio, connecting West Virginia to Ohio. It was a marvel, that bridge. Folks were proud of it. A real feat of engineering. Nobody ever thought that bridge would be anything but a symbol of progress, of connecting folks. It just stood there, strong and silent. A comfort almost, until it wasn't. Then, November 12th, 1966, a Saturday. 3 gravediggers were out in Clendenin, just a little ways south of Point Pleasant, getting a grave ready for a Sunday funeral. Ow! The ground was hard, smelled of damp earth and frost. They'd been digging all morning, the sound of their shovels clinking against stones the only noise. The air was still, cold, nipping at their ears. As the sun started to dip, casting long, purple shadows, they heard it. A sudden whoosh, like 1,000 birds taking flight at once, but too heavy for birds. And then they looked up. But, they said something huge, dark, with wings bigger than any bird they ever seen, just soared over the treetops, silent as a haint once it passed the initial rush, just a shadow against the last light, disappearing into the gray. They just stood there, shovels dropped, plumb froze. Three days later, November 15th, this is when it really started to get people's attention. 2 young couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Millette, were out for a drive near the old TNT plant. They were just passing time, probably laughing, maybe even a little bit of flirting. The air was raw, fighting at their faces through the cracked windows. The smell of cold, dead leaves and damp concrete hung heavy. They were coming up on a curve, the headlights cutting the tunnel through the dark, when they saw it, standing by an abandoned generator building. Not something you could easily explain away as a deer or a stray dog. It was white, they said, almost 7 feet tall. And then it moved. It unfolded these massive wings, maybe 10 feet across, and it had eyes. Big, round, glowing red eyes set too close together, just burning in the dark. 6 inches apart, they swore. They tried to get away, but it took to the air following them. Chasing their car, they said, at over 100 miles an hour. Just a blur of white and red in their rearview mirror, breathing down their necks. They could feel the wind of its wings, even through the closed windows. A cold, unnatural wind. That wasn't the end of it, not by a long shot. My Granny May said the phone lines were buzzing. Folks talked about it in hushed tones over coffee, in the general store, at church. Over the next 13 months, there were 26 more sightings, always around that old TNT plant or near the river. Always the same description, tall wing, those awful red eyes. People saw it flying over their houses. They saw it perched on the roof of the ordnance works. They smelled something awful, sometimes right before a sighting, like something gone rotten or burnt ozone. One woman, Marcella Bennett, was visiting friends near the plant when she saw it outside their car. She had her baby in her arms. She said it looked right at them, those big red eyes, unblinking. She dropped her baby, just dropped it, from pure terror. Her heart nearly beat out of her chest, she said. That's the kind of fear it brought. A fear that made you forget everything else. And then came December 15th, 1967, a Friday, rush hour. The Silver Bridge, the one Uncle Silas was so proud of, the one that stood so strong. The air was biting cold that day, a real winter snap. Folks were heading home, maybe thinking about Christmas. The smell of exhaust fumes and cold asphalt hung heavy. The bridge, it was packed. Cars bumper to bumper, the rumble of traffic a constant familiar sound. And then, without warning, it just tore itself apart. One, like a toy. A single eye bar, they said later, broke. A tiny flaw, 1/10 of an inch. But that was enough. The whole thing just unzipped. Twisted metal, screaming brakes. The roar of the concrete and steel as it plunged into the icy Ohio River. 46 people. How? Yeah. 46 souls. 2 of them never found. I mean, oh, what that? Just swallowed by the river. My Granny May said it was like the mountain itself had sighed, a deep, sorrowful sigh, and then went quiet. And after that, the sightings stopped, just like that. The creature, the thing with the red eyes, it was gone, vanished, like it had never been there at all. Or like its work was done. The town, it never really recovered. How could it? People lost kin, friends, neighbors. The smell of the river, for a long time after, was just the smell of something lost. My great aunt, the one with kin in Point Pleasant, she said folks were walking around like haints themselves, just shadows of their former selves. Empty rocking chairs on porches, silent houses. The official reports, they said it was a structural failure. Bad weld, a small crack. Engineers explained it all. But what about the thing with the wings? The red eyes? The cold wind? My Granny May, she just shook her head. Said sometimes, the explainable things ain't the whole truth. Sometimes, the mountain just shows you what's coming. It don't cause it, it just watches. And maybe, in its own queer way, tries to warn you. They built a new bridge, of course, a stronger one, but the shadow of the old one and the shadow of that creature, it never left. Now, they got a big metal statue of the Mothman in Point Pleasant. Folks come from all over to see it, to take pictures. They even have a festival. It's like they've taken the terror and turned it into something you can look at, something you can touch. But I reckon, deep down, the old-timers, the ones who lived through it, they still feel that chill. They still remember the smell of dread in the air. My Granny May used to tell me, don't whistle after dark, child. You never know what might whistle back. And she'd look out at the mountains, her eyes far away. She said some things are tokens, hints, signs, and you ignore them at your own peril. And you ignore them at your own peril. She always said the Mothman was a token. My family, we ain't had no personal sightings of the Mothman, not directly, but my great uncle Silas, when he got old, he started painting his porch, trim paint blue, said it kept the bad things out, and he'd never cross a bridge at night without slowing down, looking around. He never said why, not directly, but I always knew. He remembered the stories, he remembered the fear. And sometimes late at night, when the wind comes howling down the holler, and it sounds like something big is beating its wings against the ridgeline, I hear Granny May's voice. Some things, she'd say, are just too big for our understanding. They belong to the mountain, and the mountain, this park. It keeps its own counsel. So, what was it? A rare bird? A booger from the woods? A fetch? Warning of doom? Or just a sheer terrible coincidence of a bridge failing while folks were scared silly by something they couldn't name? I don't know. Nobody truly knows. The engineers got their answers, but the mountain, it's got its own. All I know is, sometimes, when I'm standing out here and the air gets still and cold, and the shadows stretch long and cycling against the trees, I feel it again, that feeling of being watched. And I wonder if it ever really left, or if it's just waiting for the next token, waiting for the next time the mountain has something to say.